3, 2, 1. Blast off. It's episode 3, 2, 1. Get it? Of the Should I Play This Game podcast for this, the 23rd of June, 2025. Graham Banks.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, all right. I feel like it's almost only apropos that I host the, I don't know, silly numbered themed ones like 3, 2, 1. That's pretty great. And then when just before you started recording, you were like recording in 3, 2. I was like, like the episode number. Yay! Lift off. That's bad. That's what I got. So it's been a bit. It's been a bit, about 3 weeks.
Last week, about 3 weeks.
So it was 3 weeks between last podcasts, between the last podcast and the one before it. And it just so happens that it's worked out this way because not E3. Oh boy. I had part of 5 videos in 5 nights. So that was fun. And then I ended up having last weekend off as well as we had last weekend off. Excuse me. Bit burpy. And then, yeah. I probably could have and should have asked you before we started recording how you want to talk about not E3. But I didn't think to do that because I'm smart.
We certainly can. We probably should do a little bit of a
wrap.
Bit of a wrap up, bit of a review of what it all was.
Do you want to do that before or after we talk about the games?
Let's do it after.
Perfect.
Let's do it before the beginning of the end.
Yeah, word. All right, you have played video games.
I have played video games, but they are all. Let me just double check this before I say this.
Yeah, I think that numerically almost as many as me, but
yeah, same number as you, but mine are all demos.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think you hit the demo tip. I've played a couple of demos. I don't have most of them on my list because most of them I played on video. So if people have seen this past week's Friday Night Fun or the Saturday version, I put the wrong goddamn date on the goddamn lower third for Saturday's version. I meant to do a Saturday version 21.06.2025, but I forgot to change it from 20 to 21 because I'm a dickhead. And there's a game that anyway. There was some quite good things, and there was some quite not good things. Yes. Hell is Us. Now no longer on my wish list because fuck me, that was a bummer. But anyway, as you cough to the table behind you, what you played?
What have I played? So before we start talking through this thing, I will explain that of all the games that are on my list, which there are 10, the game that I played the most for, which are all, as I said earlier, they're all demos, was one that we'll get to in a bit, and that was 51 minutes. Everything else is less than 51 minutes, so I'm talking 15, 20 minutes at most in most cases. Okay. Because I didn't have a lot of time this week, and I just wanted to get through as many of those as I could. And also, most of these games are out relatively soon.
Yeah. In
either early access or full releases, so I didn't really want to do massive hours of playing these games because then they'd be coming out anyway, and I have to either repeat what I'd done or whatever just to get me to that same point. So.
Yep.
Didn't play a lot of by design. I did not play a lot of each of these games. That's no indication of whether I liked them or not. It's just that's how I did it.
Context.
So the first one is Hell Clock.
I'm curious what you think of this because I played the demo. I don't know if it was the same demo, but I played a demo on the show, and I've really fucking liked it.
It's good. I mean, it's these screenshots do not show it off at all.
No. Oh, that one kind of does.
That one kind of does. That's probably the closest one. So this is a Brazilian-made game.
Yes.
From a Brazilian developer. And it's following a Brazilian folklore story.
Yes.
And it is sort of it's run based, so it is
Yep.
run. It's a rogue, one of those rogues,
Roguish
roguish.
rather
But
than
it's
roguelite or light.
yeah,
Roguish.
so it's probably got more in common, I think, with Diablo
I'd agree with that.
in terms of its actual moment to moment gameplay.
Yes.
So in effect, you play as this title character who I will be honest, I must admit, have forgotten who he's called.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Let me
um,
keep talking. I'll
and
see if it's on the store page.
and you're basically just doing these runs through. I think it's a tower, if I recall,
Yep, pretty
or
much.
it's a big dungeon. And you're designed to get to a particular level of it to complete it, quote unquote.
I got a name.
All right, do you want to rattle it
I'm
off?
gonna butcher the fuck out of it. It's spelled Pajeu, and the U doesn't have an umlaut. It's got a little dash over top. Paju, Paju,
Paju, okay.
Machu
Um,
Picchu.
yeah, so you play as that character who is basically the one in the middle of this screenshot here.
Mm.
And you basically got Diablo style gameplay when you're doing each run.
Mm.
So you've got weapons, you've got that are on a hot bar of sorts, and you can press A to do that particular
Yep.
attack or B to do this one. You've got mana, you've got life, you've got health potions to pick up and get more life back. You've got that, you've got mana regeneration, all that sort of stuff. As you can see in the screenshot, there's gold scattered around the place. You're picking that up to then buy upgrades of more potions, better lasting ones, better weapons, all the usual sort of stuff you'd find in a Diablo game.
Yeah.
Um, but it's run based. So the moment you die, you respawn essentially back in this sort of hub world of sorts. There's a bit of couple of fun dialogues around when that happens a couple of times. Then you basically can go to a store to get better weapons, buy better weapons, upgrade them, etc. Then you often do it again.
Yep.
And it is visually very striking. I think that's probably the biggest thing about it. And these screenshots don't really do it justice either.
Nah,
Um,
sadly not.
they're a little bit, yeah. So you've got lots of little fancy weapons you can do. You've got area effect stuff you can do, and you're basically killing undead enemies of sorts. And it's just it's it's something that I'm intrigued by. I'm not sure
Mm.
necessarily what I would play a lot of when if it comes out. Um,
It did surprise me to see it on your list that
yeah, I mean
you'd played
it's
it.
not a game I normally would play, or a couple
No.
of game I would normally play. But just the visual
Mm.
drew me in, and the fact that it's an unusual setting. Like we don't get a lot of games from Brazil, it must be
No.
said. And its art style is pretty neat. I do like the look of it an awful lot.
Mm.
There's a massive skill tree. That's probably what massive skill tree.
Mm.
Um, but you do get those relatively quickly, so I don't think the skill tree is going to take a lot necessarily to go through per se. Um, so yeah, I think visually it's great. I mean, I like the setting, I like the art as well. So a lot of things going for it. It's not the type of game I play necessarily, so that's probably where I would probably drop off a bit. It's out in like a month,
Mm.
so we'll see what it's like when it comes out. It might be different in some way, but yeah, very neat game though. I did
Yes.
enjoy play a lot of when I played it. I did enjoy it a lot. Next up, we have Ericsson, The Stolen Dream.
Mm.
This is from a Swedish developer. I believe it's Swedish. Yeah, pretty sure it's Swedish. And this is basically a tactics game. So this is
When
basically.
when you say tactics, are you talking
I'm
sort of
talking.
XCOM?
I'm shooting Shadow Gambit, Desperado,
Okay.
that sort of tactics game. So you can sort of see from the screenshots, you play as this title character, who's again a name has escaped me, um, and you've got you can move around. It's all
Mm.
3D, like it's sort of that sort of move around the environment sort of thing. It's more around. It's more based on sneaking rather than
Mm.
straight out combat. Um, but it is a very neat visual looking thing. You play as the character on the left. In the opening scene, a cutscene, your your brother's not around anymore. Not that's not right. That's not right. your brother's quote unquote missing or has gone off somewhere.
Hannah.
And you're basically you're woken up by the police effectively.
Makes sense.
Trying to
Your
find your brother.
character is Hannah. Your brother is Herman.
Okay, cool. And yeah, you're trying to get to certain parts of this little city you've created. Not created. You're in the city you're in.
I was gonna say that's fucking pretty nice looking if you've created it. Shit.
This is the first time I've actually seen combat, which implies combat with this thing, but I've not seen any of that in the demo. As I said, I think I played this demo for like 15 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Got to the point where I said, okay, I like it.
Yep.
It's out in literally 3 weeks anyway. So again, I think it might have been it's in literally 3 weeks, 15th of July. So yeah, basically that's why I didn't play a lot of it. It looks like it visually. I think it's absolutely really neat. The cutscenes are pretty damn well done. Voice acting, the actual themselves, the quality, all that kind of stuff.
Is it very obvious European voices trying to do an American accent, or is it American voices, or what's the go?
To be honest, I cannot remember. I don't think it's American voices. Not American voices, no.
That'd be good.
So yeah, I think this is really kind of neat. So yeah, it was one of the ones that was in. I think it was in the PC Future Game.
I think it showed up in at least 2, maybe even 3 places.
It showed up in 2 or 3 places, but I think the first one I saw it was in the Future Game Show. I think was the one I saw it first in. But I think it then appeared in the PC Gaming one and maybe one other. Yeah. So that's where I first saw it.
Guerrilla Collective, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, very neat little game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one when it comes out. Modulus is a take on the automation game.
Yep. Okay.
That is also kind of neat.
What's different?
It's different in that it's very similar to a lot of people were comparing it to in the discussion threads on Steam, which is not necessarily
that could be a toxic shithole. That
can
thing
be not exactly the best place to go to looking for stuff, but it's where I was looking for to see it. A lot of people compare it to Shapes from Shapes and Shapes.
Oh, okay.
Where
I say that like I've played it, but not.
where you're taking resources and sort of cutting them in half in some cases to then use in different production lines down the track. And this is probably the thing that's most interesting about it is you can actually have some what's the word I'm looking for? You can configure the thing to output in a certain way.
Okay.
So this thing, yet again, the UI's not completely showing what I was playing with in the demo. So you've got this item coming in you can see it's a 4 by 4 by 8 rectangle cube thingy. Not a rectangle cube, that doesn't make sense. Rectangle object.
Get cubic on the bottom, rectangular on the sides.
Yep.
It looks like a Series X.
Yeah, basically it's a Series X. And and what you'd have in this screenshot in this particular dialogue would be the ability to actually split up into different outputs. So one might be where you've got this one, you're splitting into basically 4 bits, like the same shape. It could be one where you're splitting into 2 cubes of 4 by 4 by 4.
But to what end?
To then have it come out in those same shapes, to then go into another thing that needs them that shape. So,
okay.
So you're basically, it's not as if so it's the same concept. You're building items and items, but you're also destructing them in a certain pattern to be fed into the next lot of machines that require that specific shape of item.
Okay.
That can't actually be made, straight up sort of thing. So you can sort of see. So you can see here you've got these things coming out.
Yeah.
You can have them. You can make them go through color things because you might need color items as well. Different orientations. So it's a neat little thing in that you've got to. It's not just item A gets made item B. Resource in makes item A. Item A goes into this machine to make item B. It's not quite as linear as that.
Yeah.
It can be that item A goes in to make 4 things or one thing that can be used in 3 different ways. It can come out and be split and go into this thing that needs that shape plus another different shape to make its thing. So it's the same, like you're still building materials, and still making things from items, but where you get those items is a bit different to your standard automation factory game of that. As I said, a lot of people were comparing it to Shapes, which has a lot of the same kind of concepts in it. But I think one thing that may differentiate it from that is this thing inside this particular machine gives you a little, not infinite control. You've got only 3 or 4 set options you can do with it, but you can make things. You can then use that to make other items, sort of thing. So it's kind of neat.
It makes that process of getting the materials just that little bit more active.
Yeah, correct. You're not saying, oh, this thing makes this thing, and that's all they'll ever make.
Yeah.
You can make this in 2 different shapes. So you might have a machine spitting out the basic building block shape.
Yep.
Going into getting split to 3 different machines, or using that same shape and outputting them in different patterns to then go into the further. So it does have a little bit of a difference to it from that perspective. So
I feel like, much like a lot of, I'm noticing more in the last 6 months to a year. And we say this a lot about like Souls-likes and stuff like that. There's getting to be quite a lot of these things.
There is, and that's sort of the thing. Like, and there's also another one that there's a lot of these. There's also a lot of.
I was curious how many of these you've played in the next fest.
Not as many as I thought, because I don't think there was that many that really stood out to me that I wanted to get myself.
Yeah.
And this one was one of them. But yeah, I think as you've sort of said with a lot of them is like they're all got a lot of the same basic thing they're doing. You've got resources come out, they go into some machine, that thing either makes a actual product out of it, which then get used elsewhere, or gets used and turned into something else that gets split and blah, 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 blah. It's really just the setting behind it that can make them more unique or not. And the visuals look as well. I think this game looks really fucking cool.
It kind of looks voxely.
It's voxel in a way. It's not quite that.
It's not full voxels?
Not full voxels. It's more sort of a tilt shift cell shaded. I mean, I can't really explain how it looks, but
that tilt shift cell shaded. Yeah, I can see some of that too.
It looks really neat, I think. And it's relatively easy to get into. This one's out later this year in sort of in October.
In EA.
In early access. So I'm looking forward to it when it does come out. Formula Legends. So this is a game that is no release date yet known, but I believe it'll be sometime this year based on what I've played. I was looking forward to this, and I'm not really sure. Still on my wish list. I'm going to keep it on my wish list, but I'm not too sure that it's what I was thinking it was going to be. So this is basically an arcade racer of a sorts. Even though it's got the name Formula Engine, hasn't got any license, so all the names they've had to make up are all play on real names. My biggest issue with this, I think I didn't like how it controlled.
Okay.
So you're racing on quote unquote real world tracks, although they're not named based on the real world tracks. They're just very similar located. And for a Formula One based game, I found the controls to not be precise as I thought they would be.
Very tight, yeah.
Especially when it came to braking. I thought braking was like when you watch real world Formula One, they can brake in a freaking instant, basically.
Stop on a fucking dime because those things are engineered to shit. That's what I was curious of with this thing.
This thing didn't seem to have that. Like it had obviously accelerate and brake, but I found the acceleration of the braking just to be not as impactful as I thought it should be.
Yep.
Now it does go through sort of the eras of F Formula One, so it starts this one, but hence the name Legends. In the demo, I think it was based on the 70s, so it could be just be maybe that's why it wasn't as effective as I thought it would be. But I think even then, I'm pretty sure they had more effective braking than what this game was portraying.
Yep.
Outside of that, looks really neat. All that sort of stuff. It's got a lot of things going for it, but I think I just would. That was the thing that sort of turned me off about it, was that I thought that that braking part of it was a little bit not quite what I thought it was going to be. So,
Yep.
other than that, it's a really neat thing.
How?
Definitely one I'll keep an eye on.
Yeah.
It's got things like tire wear. You can see in the bottom right hand corner, you've got tire wear, fuel, and a health meter of sorts.
Yep.
There's another screen. Oh, that one there. Yeah, so you've got. I think it even has the full like race weekend qualifying, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
So it's neat.
But
I'm just not sure the controls of what I was expecting out of
yeah.
it. Being an F1 game, you expect it to be really, really precise
Yes.
and quick, acceleration, deceleration sort of stuff, and I just think it quite had it. But again, it might have been the fact that they were doing the 70s era, and maybe that's
Yeah.
what they were like. I don't know. But yeah, looking
My
forward to it.
my curiosity with this is that balance between arcade and sim.
I don't think it's very semi. I think it's definitely
Okay.
more on the arcade side. You can do like race weekends in a way, but I don't think it's going to be that dramatic. If that makes it look that not that semi.
Not quite, not full as in depth and multi-phased and multi-staged as for Reals F1, but at least it's bringing in some of those elements.
Yeah, like
It,
you still got qualifying, you still
mm.
got pit. You can still go into the pits and do all that sort of stuff. But yeah,
Did you play? I don't think you played any New Star GP, have you?
no, I haven't.
That that really does hit like for as arcadey as that is. I mean, I fell off it because it ended up being way too annoying to win because my car would just break. Not break as in stop, break as in just shit itself. So
Okay.
like, I'd be curious what you feel about that if you played it
Mm,
because it is a lot. I feel like it's a lot closer handling wise,
mm.
perhaps. Anyway,
Next up is Match and Mastery. This is a match 3 game.
what was this on? Day of the Devs?
No, this was on. Oh, where was this one? This might have been a future game show. I think is where I saw this one.
Mm.
Yeah, can't quite remember where I saw this one.
Oh, I mean, like we said a few times, like there's what 8 to 12 streams.
Yeah, but
So
I
there's
didn't
gonna
watch them all, so I'm just
yeah.
I think I saw this on at least 2. I think I'm pretty sure they're all
Mm.
PC based ones. So how does this one play? Like it's a match 3 game, as you can see. Just see if there's a screenshot that shows it. There we go. So you go into a predefined room in effect, and you're matching the gems
Mm.
to give you attack and movement from each turn. And each movement limitation then allows you to do attacks on the people inside that range.
Mm.
So it's a neat. Also show where it doesn't
Because
show.
it sort of balances that match 3 in that sort of turn-based tactics, sort of into the breach style,
Yeah, sort of. It's like
simplified XCOM style sort of
yeah, so
thing.
it's all that sort of stuff. Like you've only when you got the movement, you can only obviously move within that range.
Yeah.
As long as you move within range, within range of attacking an enemy, you can then use the attack thing you pick up to attack them. You've got these things down the side,
Abilities and spells and
abilities and
shit.
stuff like that you can use that
Yep.
you've got to build up over time to activate them. You've got health. The enemies have got health, that sort of stuff. It's neat. I mean, I really liked a lot of it. Again, didn't play a lot of it because I was waiting for it to come out, which I don't think I've got a date for this just yet. I don't think it's going to be too far away. I suspect. I think they're all saying this year for most of this stuff I played. So yeah, I liked a lot of it. Even the story is relatively decent. What the bit I've played of it, and the visually I think it looks really neat as well.
Mm.
So it does look kind of, you've got pretty some big, it's a boss battle. So yeah, I did like a lot of it.
It is a very nice animated style
Yeah,
to it. I like
very
that.
sort of very
That
nice.
that looks dope.
Yeah, it does look really neat. Rollick and Roll is one that I think we both might have seen.
Oh, That was Frosty.
That was, yeah, that might have been on the Frosty one, I think. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Is that the
that's
one
right.
with the look like a sort of playset?
Yeah, this was this one.
Yeah, this fucking thing.
So I didn't play a lot of this one, and I think the reason why I didn't is the onboarding in the demo is not particularly good.
Okay.
Is my vague recollection of this thing. So it's basically a puzzle game in essence.
Yep.
So you can see we've got a police car down on the bottom left here in this little environment it's created. We've got an ambulance and a fire truck sort of in this little cube, being held up by this little blocker.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you release these this release thing, and the thing will start to go down the track.
Yep.
You're then pressing buttons to move this stuff around, and it's not as if you've got to get it all in the right place and then let the thing play out.
Yeah, it's sort of real time.
It's all real time stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I found that a little bit. It wasn't explaining that particularly well in the demo from my brief playthrough. I was a bit confused what I was doing some of the time. And so I think it's got a lot of potential though, and definitely was something I want to keep an eye on. But the demo left me just a little bit confused as to how to do some things. So each of these buttons here will be linked to an action here. So you've got a green one will push that, but also activate these two.
Yeah, so that's where the real timey part comes in, and it's not just set it all up; it's about make sure the timing actually works out.
Correct. So pressing B will rotate this thing round. The blue X button will do something with these blue things here. So the point is you'll end up got this timing thing where you're pressing A to make this thing probably lower, which makes that lower, which makes that lower, to then get the car to here. But if you haven't pressed A by the time this car gets to here, because you released it too early, all things are out of whack. So it's one of those things where you've got to do a lot of things in the right order, and I'm not sure I had the ability to do it. So again,
it's probably one of those things where it's neat. It's like a real neat sort of vibe, and like that very much that toy diorama thing from sort of around the time when we were kids. But the actual putting it into practice, I don't want to say there's maybe too much going on, but it's that trying to balance that real time sort of planning and activating and making sure it all comes together.
Yeah, and I think that's where I didn't think that's the kind of game it was going to be. So what I assumed it was going to be is you had to basically plan the path.
Yep.
And that was a puzzle aspect, and they just play through and they just work. But it's the real time interaction stuff that I think threw me a little bit, and that's probably why I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought. Versus I don't think necessarily they did a good job in the demo, but definitely something to keep an eye on, because I think it looks it has a lot of potential, but not sure it was quite what I thought it was when I went into it. TerraTech Legion. I think this is one you might have.
I've got this on my wish list. I've added it to my wish list. Sorry. So it's an arse game, isn't it?
It's an arse game. Yep, exactly.
And it's an arse game based on Tetra Tech, which is it was in early access, basically like a sort of Besiege and stuff like that, sort of a vehicle creator.
Yeah, basically, I don't know if they've. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is what you do.
Yeah.
So as you're going around the environment, which is basically standard environment, you're driving around and you're getting completely mobbed by stuff. You're picking up resources and upgrade points and that sort of stuff. And also you can go into, let's see if I can find one on the screenshot. You also go into these. They don't, of course, they don't show what I'm looking for, do they? In any of these screenshots. Similar to that, it's not that, but you sort of basically go into this essentially an upgrade pod, effectively.
Yeah.
That's in the environment. You drive into it, the game freezes. You then get to choose from a couple of different things you can do, and basically you've got the ability to basically build your vehicle up.
Yeah.
This is the
Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts style.
Yeah, basically, and it's really kind of neat, and that's where I think I didn't think driving around was that much fun, if I'm honest.
Oh.
But putting this together kind of was. So I think I found that now, it could just be that I don't play a lot of this game. This might be what they normally are, but I found that I didn't have enough upgradability to get rid of enemies quickly. I couldn't. I just was overwhelmed, basically. Way earlier than I thought I should have been. If that kind of makes sense.
With
But
these sorts of games, it can be easy to get overwhelmed. It sort of depends on where, like that first screenshot, for example.
that's a
Like
boss.
unless,
That's a boss. So don't take me to that.
yeah,
Um,
I mean that's a situation. Anytime you're in the middle of a swarm like that, you know, fucked up because you want to be sort of skirting around the outside or leading rather than in the middle of a swarm.
oh yeah. That's a boss. That's
But
standard.
yeah,
Um, yeah, this is probably more to the normal things. You just around here. You got this. They're all there. Like it's an ass game as we've said. So this is the
hmm
thing. So you get these things. You can basically bolt this on. You've got these connection points. Your little X marks there. Um, some things need you to put them in certain places because they require a number of connection points, that sort of thing. And as you're building this thing up, you can see you're increasing your speed, your
stats on so yeah,
acceleration, how much damage it can do, that sort of thing. So it does, like this building thing was really neat
yeah,
in how you sort of build up your, rather than just getting an upgrade and saying you've now got a better cannon, the cannon's only in
mm,
one spot, you can basically put the cannon where you want to put it on
yeah,
your vehicle. And they've got, things like their rate of fire and their range and their directionality, what they can shoot, is defined and shown on the thing here.
yeah,
So this thing only shoots that way. Okay, then there's no point in putting it, pointing backwards necessarily. I'll put one there, two on the front pointing forward, two on the back pointing sideways, two on the sides going out to the side, some on
mm,
top that does a 360 thing. So you've got all this sort of a fair bit of control over where you put stuff, and you can also then move around if you need to. You get it. Oh, that's a really neat thing. Shit, how do I put it? Oh, I'll put it on the front there, and I'll tweak this around a bit. So you do get a lot of. I think you get a fair bit of. I can see you can build up some pretty damn big things,
yeah.
and you get some pretty big stats overall. I'm not too sure that I enjoyed because I played a game
You
Drive
talking
Loop
drive loop survivors?
a month or so ago,
Yep.
and I enjoyed the driving in that more than this. And that might just be
Yeah.
that these things are slower because the vehicle's bigger and heavier. That
Mm,
might just be that. So it might just be that sort of thing of it. But I like the look of this thing. I really like this. The
yeah,
building
the
of the
building
car
part.
thing is a neat little thing as well. So something to keep an eye on. It's again no release date. But yeah, I'm intrigued by it when it does come out.
I maintain you really like Screwdriver or Screwdrivers, which is a free to play sort of driving slash racing game where it's literally you're building the car.
Oh, okay. Town to City was the
I
game that I
thought
played.
I thought you'd played this.
Was the game I actually played the longest, and I
Yep.
only played it this morning. Um, this thing's really fucking neat. I really like this. It wasn't. Having said that, it then it wasn't. It wasn't just a true. Basically, this is Anno in a weird way. In a really odd way, this has got Anno elements in it. So let's
That's
go
not,
through that.
huh?
No, it's not what I thought it was going to be either, but it kind of has that.
Because its
Uh,
lineage suggests it's not.
no, exactly. Let me see if I can find some again. This is why I built This is why I built our custom screenshot ability now because we can do this. Okay, we'll just stick on the screenshot. Okay, so your game starts, and I can't even see where it is. Though. It might be this thing here, this train station, right here in the middle here. That's that's the starting point. There's
Mm,
no other train station. You're just building your city around this train station, and you're building the paths, you're building the buildings, you're building houses, all that kind of stuff. And you're also building little shops that sell fish, that sell fruits, vegetables. That's what all individual different shops, which doesn't seem particularly efficient, but that's what they do. Each of those things has a range of how far on the map on your road network they will reach,
yep.
and each of your houses, which are these little guys here, all have needs
Mm,
like Anno has. Not to this doesn't quite have the same
depth.
production line stuff that Anno had,
Yeah.
where you've got to do this to make this to make this. It's not that. It's just as long as you can make or produce the thing, and it's in range to people who want it, they'll be happy. So it's a little bit
Mm,
simplified version of that, but it's got that same element. So you can see here, Was you see where my cursor is? There's a little shop there.
Yeah.
That's I think that's the fish one. I think that's the fish one.
Okay.
So that will have a range of how far on this road network you can reach.
Yep.
And as long as the houses that are on it
Can get there.
can get there, they'll have that food requirement met.
Huh.
So you have to sort of build multiple of these because they've only got a certain range, and you've just figured out you've got to make more of them. Then you've got to have workers to put into them and that sort of stuff, and they've got a demand and a production sort of rating as well. And each one of the houses
sounds very Steamworld build.
Sort of, but it's not quite Steamworld build because Steamworld build still you had to make your glass, to make your this, to make your that.
That's true.
It doesn't have any of that production.
I used to fuck that up a bunch.
It doesn't have that production chain stuff. Whereas this just has, as long as you can make the building, it'll just produce it. There's nothing.
So when we were talking lineage and pedigree, this is from the developers of Station to Station.
Yes.
Which is, you dug that. Did you ever finish that?
Nah.
Yeah.
That was more puzzly because of the nature of what it was.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought this was going to be, particularly based on the name.
This isn't puzzly at all. It's just a straight up city builder.
Huh.
But it's not necessarily. Yeah, so still it is as you said, it's from the same people, so it's got a lot of the same visuals to it.
Yes.
The game looks fucking really brilliant. I love the look.
It's fucking hella voxels.
Hella voxels. So it's great to look at. You can zoom in, you can move around. You've got full movement. You can see it. Yeah. So I'll just quickly shop here. So you've got these three little icons here.
Yep.
So as basically the way that the game builds your population is that people arrive by train. That's how they get to your city, and you've got to have a house to put them in. So when they first arrive, you click on this item. You've actually got to pick the house they go and live in. That's the other thing too. But some of them will have, we want to live near a house with water. And if you do that, you'll get a bonus if you put them in a house that's like that.
They paying for it?
What's that?
Are they paying for that house near water? That's some prime property, that is.
I think they do. I think actually they would give you more money for it. In the bottom right-hand corner is where you get your rate per day or whatever the number is. You've got to have population is obviously going up. You've got to have a happiness meter that makes more people go more to your city.
Yep.
You've got workers, which are this thing. Look like you can see here in the screenshot, you've got different levels of workers. So you've got that scaling too.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's like when they first started, like, this is just a city build. I just draw some lines, build some houses. People will come, will be happy. No, you've got to then the annos. I just use the anno term generically. It's not really that, but that sort of anno production line meet needs kind of concept kicked in. And I didn't think it was going to be like that. But when it did turn into that, I thought, okay, they've made that version of that concept that's way simpler.
Yep.
Like there was a bit in the one I've got where I needed to supply clothing to one of the houses. So one of the person wanted clothing, but rather than going and making the cotton and making the leather and doing all that production line stuff, I just had a building that made clothing. That was it.
Yep.
So they've given the same concept but taken all the way that production line stuff. Well, at least so far in the demo that I played. The fact you've gone up to different levels of people might mean that maybe that stuff does kick in later. But I think this is mainly around, you've got to have workers that can do low level stuff. You've got to have workers that are a bit level above.
Yeah, varying skill levels.
Then their needs will be high level as well, and that just scales up with it. So, yeah, not what I was expecting it to be. I did not think it was going to be that style of game. I thought it was just going to be a straight city builder where you build the roads and make sure you've got water and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was going to be one of those. But when it turned into this other style of game, I thought, okay, I'll go with this. You've got, not that this tells you, because I don't think you can build roads of different lengths.
Different types of roads
different
and
size. You can literally build there's an option of how big the brush size is. Like, you've even got that ability to make it really narrow or really wide. So you've got a lot of control over how your city looks and lays out. You can see there you've got a really wide roads there, and then you've got narrow ones through here and paths and stuff. So it's got a really, like, the control you've got around how you lay out your city is actually quite intricate.
Yeah.
You've got the same things. You can put down little decoration stuff, and as you're doing that, you get, I think they call them decoration points, get applied to houses and buildings, and the people in them.
Contributes to happiness and all that sort of shit.
Exactly. So it's got all this sort of stuff to it. So I wasn't expecting it to turn into that style of game. But when it did, I thought, okay, that's cool. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I reckon it's definitely a little bit. I think it's going to sit in a very almost like cozy-est spot on that sort of, like Anno Pax Romana 1717's coming out in like not very far away.
A couple of weeks, couple months.
Yeah, something like that. And that's going to be obviously the end, the way
the other end of the scale on this sort of thing, yeah.
Whereas this is a bit more cozy, like, but it does have some. Oh shit! I've run out of workers. I need to balance working stuff, so my production stuff's kept and my people are happy and sort of stuff. So it does have a little bit of that sort of stuff to it, but I just not expected to be that kind of city game. So, Stario Haven Tower. This is out later this year in September at this point. This is another city builder of sorts, and that screenshot is absolutely fucking useless. Let's go into...
It looked pretty.
God, none of these showed off really well. So, basically you're building a city tower. You're not building a city, you're building a tower that goes up. And you can see here you've got different levels of the tower that go up in levels and height. And you're basically building... The center tower goes up the center. That makes obviously up the middle, and you're basically building things on the side of it to make water, food, housing, that sort of stuff. So that shows us a little bit more. So you've got water production here because it's all in a dust environment.
Yeah.
So it's always basically building above this sort of dust line sort of thing. And you've got housing, you've got pipes to deliver water up and down, you've got plant life to make food. You're just building them onto the side of the tower. And you can have structural issues where if you get a sandstorm come through, some of your items might literally fall off the tower because they're not secured enough.
What was that other balancing one? As we fall, or something like that? After we fall, or before we fall,
or so it's similar to that, but this is basically just a tower going up, but similar sort of concept. So, it's interesting. I didn't think it was going to have a lot of that sort of what's I'm looking for? That sort of structure. I thought it was just literally bolt things on and it would just sort of work, sort of thing. So to have that aspect to it was interesting. And this thing going up, and you've got different resources per level, and you can have things. See here, we've got this thing coming down here.
Yeah, and you're trying to balance out like what zones produce what.
That makes this thing that needs that thing, so you can get it to go down levels and stuff like that. And none of these actually show up, but inside this tower you can actually see items being moved up and down inside the tower and stuff like that. So it's neat. I didn't think it was going to be like that. And I've not seen a technology tree yet in the demo, so that's interesting.
Tech tree might just not be in the demo yet.
Come on, yeah. So you've got little items you can they've got a research thing, so that's that.
This looks hell of Lego.
It is a little bit Lego because the way you build
like not voxely, but just like fucking hell of modern Lego.
Yeah. But anyway. I think it's really, really neat. And the last one for me is Life Below, which doesn't have anything about it at all, which is intriguing. It's not got any dates at all. I don't even know it's coming out, what it's going to be coming out in, whether it's early access or not. But I think they've got it as just this year, or might be just becoming soon on Steam.
TBA.
Yeah, this literally added it today. So, so it is basically a city built under the ground, underwater.
Yep. Under the sea.
Under the sea. So it's got.
No, I just want that song.
So, as I was saying before, the city builder of
Town to City.
Down to City, sorry, is each one of these games that has there's a shitload of these coming out.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Like your roguelikes are everywhere.
There's a shitload of every kind of game coming out, let's face it.
Yeah, so, and it's everything, like each one of these has to do something slightly different to stand out from everything else that's in that same genre. And I think this one, like last year we had the
Penguin.
The penguin based one. Like that's another
one.
It's doing that just based on penguins. This is basically like an underwater version of that. You've got different. You play as this guy here.
Thalassa.
The Thalassa, this thing here. And somewhere, I'm not sure it's going to go in this screenshot. Yeah, this thing here is basically Gaia. And you're basically plotting down things that make coral, things that make what was the thing?
Not that I've played it, but with that central sort of Gaia element, I get kind of a maybe slightly more whimsical underwater Frostpunk.
Yeah, but nowhere near as dire.
Nowhere near as dread-ridden and fucking dreary, obviously.
But that's just spreading out
man,
from there.
pH levels. Fuck.
Yeah, so you've got temperature, you've got pH level. They haven't covered that in the demo yet, but it is on the UI to look at. Oh,
God damn.
It's a temperature thing. Because some of these things actually add to the temperature in the environment, in the area. So yeah, you've got, and I'm not seeing them in this screenshot at all. Where are they? So you've got things that basically bring energy out from this thing to other parts of your city, for the want of a better term. Where is it? This little dude. These are your worker drones, but they're little floaty, spritey things, and they go and get the material from outputting thing over here into the central point, and if something needs it to be built, it goes and takes it there and stuff like that. So
it's blank done.
Basically, yeah, like it's very colourful though. And that's the thing about it. It was
Is
colourful.
the beach as well there too?
Oh,
shut. Oh God, he might be. Fuck. Shut up, beach Thursday.
So yeah, so it's just neat. It's again goes back to that thing. They're doing something a little bit different in this genre, but it's got a lot of the same elements that every other one of those has. You've got power, you've got to have producing items, you've got to have resources and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that it does sell it on, one of their selling points, I should say, is that the narrative is, if I can find where it's gone in my list. Maybe I haven't actually added it yet. The way they describe it is the heartfelt narrative by Rihanna Pratchett.
Oh, Terry Pratchett's. Oh.
So yeah.
He of Discworld.
Correct.
And he of No Longer With Us.
Yes. So yeah. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what that narrative would be, and what sort of the lore that's around it.
Yeah, when you trot out someone with the last name fucking Pratchett,
correct. You're
particularly if you aren't exploiting that and making use of that in a really interesting way. Correct. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, you're setting up
paying them a lot of money for what?
You're setting up a lot of expectation when you name that person in your store description. So, but yeah, I mean, it's again no date at all, as we mentioned earlier. But I think it has a lot of potential because it is pretty different. Like it is doing a lot of different things. So, yeah. So that's basically my 10 demos that I played in the last 3 weeks, and all of them are off the back of the various streamers you watched, basically where they got them from.
Nice.
But yeah, that's my list.
Cool. Thanks.
Yours.
All right. So I have finished the first Berserker Kazan, and holy fucking fuck! I thought it was hard when we last talked about this. Jesus Christ. One thing that is super satisfying is going back to earlier bosses and just fucking steamrolling them. Like, because I was trying to stock items for the final boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to, for example, for lack of a better term, reset the shop, you need to complete a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shop would quote unquote restock and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just go back to the very first mission to the, for lack of a better term, bonfire that's right in front of the boss. Go in, 3 seconds, done.
Mm-hmm.
Like the mission complete sequence and the flourish it does and all that sort of deal took longer than it did for me to kill the boss. Because that, like, just where I was at. The final boss took me about 8 hours total. It was fucking rough. Like I've seen like sort of top 10 countdowns on YouTube where it's like hardest games of 2025, and this motherfucker's right at the top. Deservedly so. It took me about 74, 75 hours total. I got all the achievements. Used a little bit of internet help for about maybe 10 to 15% of the collectible stuff because I figured, fuck it, why not? I kind of really want a stat screen that shows how many times I died. A mate of mine mathed it out, and based on sort of the law of averages, worked it out to be about 900 times. Maybe a bit more. It's fucking fantastic, though. It's one of my favorite things so far this year, and probably one of my favorite Souls-likes, non-from Souls-likes. Right up there with Neo. The bosses are a little spongy, in that it does take a bit of time to chip them down. You need to have a great deal of patience.
Yep.
Because if you don't, you are going to get fucked every time. The narrative, while it had a narrative reason, the pathing to the final boss, the level design for up to the final boss was fucking fucked. Because it was a bunch of like magical, levitating, moving, shifting platforms and stuff. To the point where you'd land on one and it didn't just go up or down, it would rotate.
Okay.
So if you weren't paying attention, you go, made it. Right, what's next? Oh no! And just fall and die. Like, it's justified narratively, but that doesn't make it any less fucked for it to happen. Yeah, it was a good ass time. It's great. I went in and fucked around for about half hour, 45 minutes on New Game Plus, and knowing how the game and the enemy works, or the enemies work, the counter design and the parry timing and all that sort of stuff, just bang. I was like, how the fuck did this take me 2 hours the first time? What the fuck? But I really love the art style for it. I took a couple screenshots that have been transitioned into the rotating wallpaper on the PC. There was, much like in Neo, which is weird because I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but this is the Neeple are from Korea and Team Ninja designing Neo in Japan. But both games have you rescuing or finding little dudes in jars and sending them back. And when you get like a certain number of jars, you can buy head armor that is jar shaped.
Okay.
So I had my dude like in super serious fucking angry anime man armor with just this dumb fucking jar on his head. And that was pretty fantastic. Yeah, I think it looks fantastic. I think it's written mostly well. It is kind of anime where you just have some dude Dragon Balling the fuck up, just go, rah! And then coming back. I did the quote-unquote true ending. Not that there was an achievement for it, but I just happened to do it anyway, which makes the final boss fight harder because it makes it 3 phases instead of 2. And it just so happens that I stacked a certain health item, which made it a bit easier to deal with, but the 3rd phase wasn't as hard. Technically, not as hard, but still fucking rough. But it didn't take as long. But this is one of my favorite things so far this year. Obviously, there's still quite an amount of things for me to dig through and dig into because this was March, and I tend to, for the most part, go chronologically through the games I buy. So I'm around sort of mid-April, I think. I don't know. But this is pretty great. Speaking of pretty great, Bionic Bay. So think inside, but maybe more of a focus on traversal and platforming precision for puzzles, rather than actual, like, smart puzzles. And there is a story, but it's very open to interpretation. So you start, like, this game starts inside a lab with some experiment being done on a rock or an egg or whatever the hell it is. It blows up somehow, and then you wake up in this weird mechano-industrial complex that's trying to kill you. And you have one of the first things that happens is you become elasticized, so you can just start rolling through these thin pipes and shit. And you gain a shifter, which, if you've played the Swapper, kind of that.
Okay. Yep.
Just the puzzling doesn't focus as hard on that swapping, which is good because god damn it, the Swapper really fucked me off, even though it was neat. God damn it. You do get some different mechanical variables, so you get like a power punch, where you can just smack the living fuck out of objects that just get rid of them. There's some gravitational elements where you end up on like these sort of spheres that are kind of planet-ish with their own gravitational pull. The developers added a control option to deal with that specific scenario because people were finding it difficult. So you can either have it control, so let's say you get stuck to a vertical platform, instead of pressing right to walk up it, you'd actually press up.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So that was fucking with my head a little bit too much. So I just like switched it. So if I press right, which would be the direction to continue progressing to the right, it would walk up there, up the wall. The pixel art is fucking fantastic. It's phenomenal. I'm going to hit the screenshots in a sec. There are some occasional readability issues between foreground, background, and what you can and can't land on that sort of do get in the way a little bit. But otherwise, it looks fucking amazing. I took a bunch of screenshots again for the wallpaper folder. There's some really cool sort of sparse ambient noise sort of sound design. It does get a bit hard. That's not the best shot. That's not bad. Like that sort of, that's what I mean by the sort of mechano industrial sort of elements, where it very much looks like this big fuck off factory, but you get pipes that are really starting to have moss develop on them with some branches and shit coming out. It did get hard in spots. Like there was one spot where you're basically switching gravity and you have to run around a circle and then dip back into an outer circle. The timing on that was probably the hardest thing in the game, actually. But I got it down and got it dealt with. Didn't feel totally insurmountable. And it kind of has sort of a reverse inside ending sequence.
Okay.
Like, instead of you becoming this unstoppable force that just barrels through everything, you have a bunch of fucking things that are barreling trying to kill you.
Okay.
And it's a escape sequence, kind of like Ori.
Okay. Yep.
And then the end happens, and I got no fucking idea what it means. But like, I think it does lighting, like it does either like faux reflections in some water that you get down to, so the lighting plays off of it really, really nicely. Some of the platforms move, and if they move too fast, you just fucking slam into them and die. But you end up getting a slowdown mechanic to deal with that. I think, like, at its surface, if you look at it at a glance, it doesn't look like pixel art. It looks like this shot in particular, I feel kind of looks Ori in some ways, but it's like very meticulous pixel art. And you get this weird big robot hand. It's just some weird, like, it's fucking weird, man. But it is. I wasn't sure if it was going to hold up to the positivity of the reviews. But within like half an hour, I'm like, okay, yep, this is sticking the landing. This is good. I'm digging this. Bloodshed. What if, right, you took an arse game, but you made it a first-person shooter?
Okay. Usually.
So literally, you are controlling the aiming. The gun shoots itself.
Okay.
The unfortunate part is you've got to, like, at least if you're picking this dude in the middle in the key art, you got a smarmy fucking dickhead character who just keeps saying stupid shit. He starts with like a pistol pistol or a sort of revolver type. You get this demonic cowboy. He's got a shotgun. He's a lot less of a dickhead. Doesn't mean he's not a dickhead though. But this guy in particular, fuck him. I'd want to throw him off a fucking cliff. It's fine. It came out earlier this year. It was launched in early access late last year. It came out early this year. It was like $5 when I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
For $5, it's fine. It's pretty fun. I'm not sticking with it. I think I've already uninstalled it, to be honest. But for what it is, it's fairly neat as a concept. Like, it looks pretty basic. I never used the pitchfork. I never used the melee weapons because you had to get too close and you just get wrecked. But you'd have occasional times where elite enemies come out and you have to deal with them. And yeah, it's very much an arse game, but as a first-person shooter. Which, like you said, like there are so many fucking arse games because Vampire Survivors took off. You gotta try something different.
Yeah.
Tempest Rising. I have where am I at hours-wise on this thing? I think I'm near 8. 8.6 hours so far. This is going to sound way harsher than I'm intending it to. Like, I'm enjoying it when I play it, but I'm feeling less and less pulled to go back and play it.
Okay. Yep.
I
get that.
Part of it is, so I end up hitting a defend the base, destroy SAM sites. So number one, you have to build the base up while fending off occasional enemy attacks. The enemy already has their fucking forces and their armies totally built up.
Yeah.
Where you're like trying to scramble from behind to deal with it. And it's like, oh, these fucked me off. And waiting around for the harvester to get more currency for me to, because I don't rely on strategy. I rely on macro.
Yeah. And that's one of that was one of the complaints. If you go into the discussions on Steam thing, you'll find a lot of people discussing that kind of difficulty spikes, for another term. So
that's the only mission I bailed. Like, I was like, "Fuck this!" Came back and then I had to do a second crack at it and ended up doing it. But like, it would be okay. Barracks, vehicle bay, all that shit. Right. 20 or 30 of the drone operators, 20 or 30 grenadiers, 20 or 30 tanks. All right, let's go steamroll them.
Yeah.
But it's just the passivity of waiting for the harvesters to get the minerals to have those forces to deal with it, because otherwise, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, yep.
So it grinds to a halt a little bit in those. I ended up running. It took me about an hour and a half for that mission because I just slow rolled it. Mainly, and then I would just like drop fucking like the little what is it, like a little space dealy fucking, what's it called? Like a little antenna type thing you can drop, and then I would just drop a refinery and just have like 4 refineries on the map.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I had a mission where a secondary objective didn't trigger. I'm like, what the fuck? Is this bugged? No, it wasn't bugged. I just went out of my way to destroy way too much shit.
Oh, okay.
So when I actually had the ability to do the secondary objective that I was meant to take didn't exist anymore. Because I blew the fucking... Actually, no, that defense mission wasn't the first one I fucked up. Because I was walking around in the second or third mission, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to kill all these bases because I'm well out of their range. I ended up blowing up their main base, or their main building of their main base. Mission failed. I was like, wait, what? Turns out I wasn't supposed to do that. There is a decent sense of variety between the missions, but they all just boil down to, I'm going to make a bunch of soldiers, a bunch of vehicles, and just go roll through.
Yeah, because that's yeah. If you play the game that way, then every mission's going to be that anyway, regardless of what the mission setting is. So yeah.
Because I don't necessarily have that, for lack of a better term, that sort of tactical in mind for this real-time strategy genre in that sense. Like, for me, it's all about just like, you have as many dudes as possible, and you just send them all in at once and just have this massive wave of fuck you rolling through the map, which is really satisfying. But like when you do it enough, it's just kind of
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna keep playing this or not. Like I've got I think 2 or maybe 3 missions left on the GDF side. And then there's the
maybe finish off the campaign and then go from there.
Yeah, well, there's the other side of the campaign too. Not nod.
Play the other, play one campaign to the conclusion and see what it's like.
Yeah. So yeah, that's neat though. It's fucking hell of Call. I was going to say Call of Duty. Hell of Command and Conquer. They have put out a patch in the last couple of days to do some tweaking of some things and stuff like that, but I haven't played it since then. This is the only demo I think I've got on my list. There could be a few I could mention, but this is the only one. Mate of mine wanted to try it out. Jump Ship. So there are parts where, like Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time and things like that, where it's co-op ship management. This has that, but then you also go to certain places and it becomes Destiny. Just a sort of budget Destiny. Like, I don't want to say red dot Destiny. That sounds way harsher than I mean it to. It looks really quite nice, but fuck me, man. Like, you're going through... What the hell? Okay, I never got far enough to build anything. So, it wasn't in the demo. So you get, like, space combat and, like, space traversal. It is really funny when you jump between systems, you have to have everyone on your ship sitting down. I jumped systems, and a mate of mine wasn't able to sit. And when we came to from arriving to the next system, he was down. So, and when you sit down on the chair, sometimes the character, it goes to a third-person camera, and it's just this fucking angry folded arms just look on the chair, which is really quite funny. But like, yeah, this screenshot in particular is making it look way more Bioshock than it actually is. The environments that we went to were a lot more contained and just really quite relatively short. But then the role they play in the different missions you play. So, like, we had a system in order to achieve a mission, which is like 4-stepped. Go to this place, and okay, we need these fuses to open this door. Fuck, all right. And you can't actually just because you have a jetpack, you can fly through space, which is pretty neat. You can't carry those things through space though, and they're radioactive. So by the time we fucking flew 4 or 5 Ks to this fucking station, picked up this fuse, went, fuck, we can't bring it back with us. Had to fly back to the ship, take off, go here, land, pick it up, drop it on the ship, and then fly back. So, and like by the time we got there, it was just, all right, open fuse. All right, cool. Fuses are in, open door. Oh, wait, turned off the jammer. Oh, is that it? Fuck. So it was all this build up for like no payoff. And then we get to the last step of the last part, just fuck it up completely. And it's like, ow! So it's okay, but yeah, there's a lot of... I wrote a review that I put for the demo on Steam. And it's just, there's some promise there, but the things that it asks you to do, they artificially lengthen some parts of it. And you can pick up different weapons in mission, but you can only take this fucking pea-shooter pistol, which is actually better than the submachine gun you can craft on your ship, which is stupid. But the guns actually have different levels to them, and you find them sometimes on missions. And when you finish with the mission and you go back to the main base, those guns are gone.
Okay.
So it's kind of a bummer on that tip. I will not be playing that any further. Promise Mascot Agency, I will be, though. I have been playing that. I said this about the demo, and it sort of remains true for the main game. It's very much the same fantastic writing and presentation style as Paradise Killer, it's the same developer. The first half hour is very visual novel. So it leaves it feeling pretty thin as a game, but once you get into it's not exactly a massive open world, but it is still an open world-ish where you can drive this truck around and find mascots and things of that nature. It actually gives you more to do. There's the management elements of having jobs that you send the mascots on. Sometimes the mascots run into trouble, like they can't fit through a door, or there's a dog that wants to play, or there's a bunch of bees, or a vending machine breaks. And you end up finding these support hero cards. And basically, there's a bar up top, and your different support heroes do different quote-unquote damage types. Chips that down and resolves the situation. Everyone's like, yay for the mascot, yay! It's really engaging without being overly domineering. Which is like, it's really fun. It's really amusing. The driving around in the exploration and just finding the different things in the world to pick up. Because I'm a sicko. There's like dots on the map that show you where the quote unquote collectibles are. So of course I'm doing a lot of that before I do most of the missions. But like, I can't stress enough how fucking fantastic the writing and the aesthetic is. And like just how awesome and supremely fucking odd it all is. It's like, you're this dude in the Yakuza, and I think it's the same Japanese voice actor as the dude from Yakuza.
Oh, okay.
Kiryu. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere online that it's the exact same voice actor for Kiryu as it is for this guy. And there's a crying block of tofu that's a mascot. There is a dude that has a, let's say, addiction to adult film who also is covered in yam potato for some reason. They do their own thing and it's fucking great. And I'm really digging that. Something I didn't dig very much, and I should have stuck with my gut with regards to the demo. Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree. It's a Souls-like Metroidvania. Some distinct classes where like you have your typical knight, wizard, all that sort of stuff. Which isn't as typical, but Jesus Christ, the story. It's basically, hey, it's medieval times. There's wizards and monsters and magic and shit. And there's this king who thinks he's some divine and righteous tool. He's a tool, all right, just a different kind of tool. He speaks in this overly verbose and grandiose fashion, like not obviously me going, I'm the fucking best, is kind of the vibe he puts out, only he's very much not the best. The combat feels very basic. So there's like a dodge or like a dodge roll, but that's it. You're either hitting dudes or you're dodge rolling through them. There's no parrying. There's nothing else. It sort of feels a little basic on that. The fall damage is fucking harsh, particularly for this kind of game where you're encouraged to go exploring for different items, but then if you fuck up because you don't know where you are, you're punished for exploring. And if you land in a spike pit, the character kind of just goes, and flops. It just stops for like half a second, and this word perished comes across the screen. I was like, man, that's not cool. It's not bad or it's not terrible, but it's also coming out in a year that had Ender Magnolias and Tales of Iron Toe. Both of which is shit on too harsh. Shit on this game. I don't know. I saw some positive reviews. I'm like, all right, maybe I just didn't see enough of the game past the demo, and maybe I was just like, well, maybe there's more to it. No, I played the demo. I played the full game for about an hour and a half. I was like, nope, I'm good. I finally tried out Atom Fall. It's a hell of a cliche character origin. You wake up from a coma or some form of unconsciousness. You have no idea what happened.
Oh, good.
And you stumble out of a vault.
Excellent.
Yeah, I know, right?
I think I've heard this before.
Stop me if you've heard. It's basically fucking Fallout in post-apocalyptic Britain, but with more active shooting. It looks really nice and runs well. There's some hell of overtly Britishisms in the dialogue, which makes it great. And I found a village that had a little playground with a slide. You can climb up the slide ladder, sit at the top, and the character goes into an animation to slide down the slide. That might be my favorite part of the game. There isn't much of a propellant or much of an idea really for what you're meant to do. You're given a bunch of these leads to go investigate. Fuck knows where some of them are because you're not really it's not really demarcated where you're meant to be going. So you just sort of stumble around, kind of not aimlessly is not the right word, but you're sort of stumbling around until you fall into a place where you're meant to be. And when you have games that are similar to this with much more sophisticated movement systems, much more sophisticated combat, it's all a bit plotty and simplistic. Like, you can fuck up bandits pretty hard. You only need 2 gunshots.
Okay, yep.
Any enemy more sophisticated than that makes the combat feel just very meandering and very, very flimsy and very basic. There's no sort of dodging for melee, so if you run up on a dude and try to swing on him, he can duck and dodge out the way of you, but when he swings on you, you just kind of sit there and take it or just try and walk backwards.
Okay.
So that's kind of fucked. The event that underpins the game, so some sort of nuclear explosion apocalypse, seem to mutate rather than kill all the animals, because there's a bunch of fucking bees that just have blue eyes and a bunch of fucking rats in a sewer that have blue eyes, to the point where I was in the sewer for a period of time and I think I might have fucking kicked about 30 or 40 or 50 rats. And that was quite unpleasant. It was a bit too lumbering and sort of relatively aimless, to the point where I just was like, nah, there's no real draw to come back to this. It's fine. But again, I don't want to play fine. It's an interesting idea. I'll give them that. And like I said, the Britishisms, tick. Well done. But yeah, everything else. Here's something else that's kind of fine that I've spent way too much time playing. FBC Firebreak. I have nearly 11 hours in this game since it came out on Tuesday. Fucking idiot. It's a co-op shooter set in the oldest house from Control. There's little bits of Control lore and sort of stuff around the edges, but it also tries to play things with this very whimsical attitude of, hey, this is pretty dumb, hey. The progression chain they had was fucking fucked. It's very much like Helldivers in that you had something of a season pass with a bunch of items on it. The next pages wouldn't open until you spent enough requisition points on the initial page. And it took fucking ages to get to good guns, because you were stuck with just broken pieces of shit. So the Remedy did a patch where they broke the requisition path out into 2 pathways, one for more cosmetic, one for weapons, basically, which made it a lot more enticing to continue playing. I cannot, under any circumstances, recommend someone pay full price for this, for like the $40, $50 it is. I got it on. I played it on Game Pass. Mate of mine's played it on PlayStation Plus. So we've played like 6 to 7 hours. Maybe, no, more than that. Probably 6 to 8. I, for some reason, bought the quote-unquote deluxe edition upgrade, which opens some cosmetic items, some voices, and the second optional, let's call it season passy type thing, battle pass type thing. I shouldn't have, because that battle pass is fucking garbage. It's all just cosmetic shit. There's nothing useful in it. It's fun enough. Like the combat mechanics and everything work well enough, and once you know what you're meant to be doing, there is fun to be had. But unless, like, if you're not playing with a friend, at least one, nope. And if you've paid like any money, well, I regret the money I paid for it. If you're not playing this on a subscription service, because there's 5 jobs, so there's not a massive amount to actually do. Anyway, it's fun though. I'm digging it enough, and I'll probably maybe play it for another couple of hours and be like, all right, cool, I'm done. This is the last one. Wings of Endless. I read that it was pretty good. I bought it. It very much presents itself as a retro style platformer, like sort of that 2D style. you can't use the D-pad to move.
No, that's interesting.
You have to use the analog stick, which it works well enough, but doesn't change the fact that that's fucking annoying. There's a weird ghost trail on the jump, which part of the art style, which is unusual. The writing is on par with like bullshit writing from the NES era. And there are, like, particularly in the first couple of hours, the main character just does not shut the fuck up. The number of times he stops to talk to particularly either himself or to Owlie, because he's 16, he's really great at naming things. He called this owl he found Owlie. Yeah, there's a point where you get out of the initial dungeon with Owlie. You're outside. The first thing he says when you get outside the dungeon, we're outside now. I'm like, no fucking shit. He does this also. He also does this really dumb fucking pose down the camera every time he says he's a bounty hunter, which fucking annoys me. It plays well enough and has some solid, like, 16-bit style music. Looks quite nice, as you can see. Like, the sort of art style looks really quite nice. But, like, if you're what? I just clicked on the wrong thing. That was good. Fortunately, I didn't shut anything, so that was clever. I was trying to click on the screenshot on the call again. You'd think I'd figure that out by now, but nope. So you get a double jump relatively early on, and see the water here.
Mm-hmm.
If you jumped in the water, would you expect to be able to use the double jump underwater?
I would not have thought so. Maybe a little bit. Maybe not as much.
Maybe not to the same height.
It's not the same level, but yeah, I would expect you better do some sort of jumping sort of.
Yeah, no. You can't double jump until you break the water surface.
Okay.
And even then, once you do break the water surface, the height on it is so fucking ridiculous, it's not even funny. It's practically useless. And then there's save points where it'll ask you if you want to overwrite your save. If you accidentally press no for whatever reason, it doesn't take you back to the initial menu to save. It dumps you back out to the game.
Okay.
So it's really fucking stupid. Like, it's fine. But again, like, fine is not. I don't know. You could dress up the owl. I was getting like sunglasses and a fucking mohawk for the owl. That was pretty cool, and a cape. But otherwise, it's a sort of, there is that search action Metroidvania element to it. There's an RPG sort of system mechanic to it. The other part, when you jump and attack in the air, you just stop in the air.
Okay.
Stop, swing, you lose all momentum, and then just drop. I think there's some design decisions that sort of hold it back, that make it less good. So, yeah. There is one thing I watched that I want to quickly shout out. Predator, Killer of Killers, animated Predator movie that came out a couple of weeks ago on Disney+. Fucking fantastic. Not quite as good as Prey from a couple of years ago, but there is a reference to Prey. And it's violent. Oh, you see heads removed, Graham. Anyway, but yeah, Predator, Killer of Killers, fucking fantastic. Some of these games, not so fantastic. All right, that's games. Games we've played.
We'll take a quick break, and we're back in a bit.
And we back. We back up in this, like, whoa. I can't remember what song that's from. Okay, so not E3 happened.
Yes, it did.
We talked over 4 of the videos. We got copyright hit for all of them.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
We got our reach limited on one of them.
Yeah.
I put a dispute in for the reach appeal.
We were limited in.
Yeah, the Microsoft one.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
So I put a dispute in for that. I'm like, what the fuck? It was oh, fuck.
Don't worry about putting fucking disputes in, mate. Jeez.
I know, but that one pissed me off. But anyway, over the course of quite a number of shows, there were quite a number of games.
Yes.
How many of the games that were shown were games that you already knew about?
Well, not many. I'd say. And obviously the ones out of sort of the big show, the big events, we obviously knew about most of them. I mean, to give you an indication, I think I might have mentioned in one of the videos that I've added probably 40, 50 games to my wish list, so that's an
Oh
indication
yeah.
that I didn't. A lot of the games were new to me.
Yes.
Um,
Um. So there are a few games I've noted down 6 games that I knew about that I like either have come out even more excited for or just like yes please give it to me now.
mhm.
Mina the Hollower, which is the next game from the Shovel Knight people. Excuse me. Ill, which is that first person Resident Evil style shooter.
Mhm.
The new Onimusha, which is next year, I think, but it's sort of Soulsy. It's got a bit of a Souls vibe to it. Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which is that brawler, the belt action side scrolling beat 'em up. Mixtape. Mixtape looks fucking awesome.
Mm. Mm.
And Moonlighter 2, which I thought looked fucking cool.
And there's a demo of
But
that
I already thought
at the
that.
moment. There's already a demo of that if you want to go play the demo.
I'm saving myself. Now I'm going into that motherfucker fresh. Were there any specific ones you knew about that you were like yes, or was it pretty much all new?
It was pretty much, for me, it was all new stuff to me. I mean, yeah, it was all new stuff. Yeah, looking at my wish list, yeah, it was all new. Pretty much all new for me that were
So,
released.
what were some of the newly announced things that you were like, yo? Because we're not going to sit here and do a breakdown show by show because that'll take us fucking 4 hours like it used to.
Yeah. So,
and we already did that. It's on
I think
YouTube.
we
Go
did.
look.
So I mean, I think the ones that sort of stood out to me, someone we've already done, we've talked about today, with the demo, with the discussion we've had today. I think the one that probably stood out the most. I'm just trying to find it. Probably I don't know if I'm saying this properly, but the Eric's Home, the Stolen Dream, that isometric game, is probably the one.
Oh yeah.
From what
Eric's
from
Home.
Eric's Home, whatever how to pronounce it. He's probably the one that really caught my eye when I saw it because it's just okay. That's got hella Desperados, Gambit, whatever those games you want to, those vibes to it. And they're like really, I like a lot of those games as we've established on this show. But I think in terms of just other thing, I mean, yeah, like there's a lot of things that were just neat to look at. Obviously, it's unknown where they're going to land, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, one game that didn't get a real lot of coverage from us, I think, was in a different. I think it might have been in one of the Expanse, the game based on the Expanse TV show.
Oh yeah, I think I added that to a wish list.
He's getting some pretty positive buzz out of that.
Okay.
Out of that show. So yeah, Modulus looks good. I mean, there's a lot of. Oh my god, I just literally just go through my wish list and say, yeah, that looks good. That looks good. I'm just not that. But I mean, I think the main sort of vibe I got from the whole show was that AAA is really struggling at the moment to not put out games because they're putting out games, but I think they're sort of weirdly struggling to.
There is a stagnation there.
There's a stagnation there, and I think even some of the indie space, there's not stagnation, but there's a shitload of the same stuff coming out, as we were talking about earlier with the 1001 Souls like and 1001 City Builders and 1001
rogue-ish
rogue likes or whatever. So there's an awful lot of games like that coming out, but and as we also discussed, I think in probably one of the shows, is that that discoverability stuff is always a massive problem on Steam, and it's something I don't think they're going to bother fixing because they probably can't fix it. It's too late to fix it, kind of a thing, in terms of just getting some sort of.
Yeah, we've crossed the Rubicon fucking way too long ago.
They'd have to basically put some sort of curation process in place to, to check what these games are before they put them out, sort of thing, and that's probably just not going to happen. But, yeah, so I think that's probably where the biggest takeaway for me was that, like, there's a shitload of games coming out. There's a shitload of games that are really good, that has the potential to be really good.
Yeah.
And shows like this event that we sort of talked over 3 or 4 videos on is the only way I think you're really going to find those games sometimes. Outside of things like where you stumble across some Like you mentioned me the other day saying, "Oh, the guy that made Magic Archer's got a game coming out." Well,
Yeah.
how the fuck would you know that? I mean, like
It was on my upcoming games list, on upcoming games on Steam. I literally
yes,
stumbled across it,
yeah. So
and
you
it's
got
like, that looks familiar. And then I
yeah,
went digging, and I was like, oh yeah, it's that dude.
that's it. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So stuff like that discoverability is a massive problem for at the moment.
Mm.
And that's probably why a lot of the games that I play are a lot of the same things because I'm seeing a lot of the same. I follow
Yeah.
YouTube channels that show those games off or those types of games off.
Mm.
So I see a lot of the city builders, a lot of the RTS style games. I don't follow YouTubers that show off a lot of Dragon Souls like games because why would I?
Yeah.
I don't like them. I'm not into those games. So yeah, I mean you've got to have those YouTube creators out there doing that sort of stuff. Otherwise, you've got
Mm.
no idea. Other than a AAA, like if a AAA developer put out a city builder that like a Pax or a Mana coming out, that's different because you're going to see the publicity around that.
Mm.
But I think the thing I struggle with the moment with games, quote unquote, is finding the game that I really want to sink my teeth into. At some point, Satisfactory will come back into that mix. It just will, because 1.1's been out for about a week or so.
Mm.
All the various mod tools that I use will get fixed, and I'll be able to jump back into that and play that again.
Mm.
But yeah, a lot of things caught my eye, and that's why my wish list basically doubled in size in that week or so we watched that stuff on. Most of that stuff, by and large, is out this year, which is really neat.
Mm.
That's probably the one thing I was pleasantly surprised by those very shows that most stuff is out this year. But yeah, I mean it's a tricky thing. It's a really tricky thing to get.
So I made note of like a few games that were new announcements that took my fancy a little bit across most of what we saw and a couple things that we didn't talk over. There's actually a 14th game that I played the demo for it. Dead as Disco. I played the demo for that on the Saturday show. And fucking hell, that thing has the potential to be incredible. Like a much faster paced hi-fi rush that is maybe less reliant and a little bit more. Well, it felt a little bit more to me, a little bit more. Not handholdy is not the right word, but a little bit more assisted in how you attacked based on the beat. Friend of mine tried playing it and he was like, I can't fucking. What the fuck? I'm like, dog, I played Hi-Fi Rush. This shit ain't nothing. And you can actually import MP3s if you're of songs in the endless mode. So I tried that with an Infinite Annihilator song. Automatically, that got me. that fucking video copyright noted. But yeah, that has an incredible style to it as well, and the music's fantastic. But like, Resident Evil 9 was one of the few AAA games or big games that really caught my eye and really did anything. Because I've enjoyed the last couple of Resident Evil games. Lego Voyages, which is the sort of co-op Lego game where the little blocks. End of Abyss, that was neat. That's only on Epic. Wu-Tang for the children. Rise of the Deceiver. Felt that boxing, which had a pretty fucking fantastic trailer. I mean, really, I like the Digital Eclipse stuff where they do these big collections, but I almost never watch the fucking video shit. Like their Tetris one I bought literally just to have a copy of a playable copy of Tetris Battle Gaiden. I haven't watched any of the stuff like that. So their Mortal Kombat collection I'm looking forward to just to play the different versions of Mortal Kombat a couple times. Romeo is a Dead Man was profoundly weird and profoundly stupid and very grasshopper. A new Bloodstained game is coming, which fucking A. Hirogami I thought looked neat, like sort of action adventure, but with Origami's art style. Neo 3, what a shock. Blighted I thought looked fucking cool. That might be one of the, just from a pure art style perspective and a pure presentational perspective, might be one of the best looking things out of that whole event. And Relooted. And lastly, Call of the Elder Gods, which hilariously, you didn't know that was a sequel to Call of the Sea.
Now, well, I saw the bloody thing come up when I was watching the show, and just my head didn't make the connection
Yeah.
for some reason. I just when I looked at the game, I thought that doesn't. That's yeah, and even looking at it now, I thought I don't know how I didn't spot that, but yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say, because I saw it and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a new Call of the Sea?
yeah,
But yeah, a lot of games shown, and like you said, there, a lot of games, but it didn't actually that series of events didn't necessarily fill out the back half of the year like I kind of thought it was going to. Um, Particularly from a big game perspective, it's the back half of the year is kind of quiet from at least from the perspective of games of a certain size or certain scope. But there's a lot of cool shit still coming to play.
mm.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what I was sort of getting at. I
yeah,
think that a lot of the big AAA games that are coming out, like you'll get your Call of Duties, you'll get your whatever's, you'll get Borderlands 4, whatever, all that sort of stuff. Not that that's like this year, but yeah, like I just think the bigger game developers and publishers are struggling at the moment. And maybe that's a pandemic flow-on effect, or the cuts to the workforce over the last couple of years because they spiked in COVID and then had to pull back. I don't know
yeah.
what's really causing that. Um, but
Their pursuit
yeah,
of like spending cash money, like you can't have a sustainable industry where you have big games that cost $350 fucking $million and
yeah,
you
and
need them to sell 10 million copies to do anything worthwhile.
yeah, I think that's kind of. I think there's going to be a shift in that AAA space as to
Mm,
not necessarily the scale of the games, but I think
the
certainly the
fucking
budget.
money behind them,
The
though.
budget wise will have to drop. I think the budgets were just getting so insane. Like as you said, like $250 million for a game is just bonkers. And just not sustainable. You can't keep making games
Yeah.
of that scale and have them
And then
all
you
make
just hear about,
have them make enough money
yeah,
to cover their costs. Otherwise, you are going to have to cut. You know,
shut them down because
shut them
like
down.
how many times have we talked about, oh, the X game did not meet studios' expectations? What the fuck expectations did you have?
Yeah, exactly. What did you set for it? For fuck's sake. Yeah.
I mean, granted, that's normally Square, and Square's fucking expectations are fucking ridiculous.
Mm.
But like, there's talk that Dragon Age Valguard didn't meet expectations, and
Mm.
at least one or two other bigger games towards the end of last year didn't do that either. And then you get all the dipshits on the internet going, duh, duh. It's like,
Yeah. Well,
fuck off, you absolute fucking morons.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it particularly when like all of the money gets like most consumer money gets concentrated into about 4 to 6 sort of service games. What
Mm.
the fuck do we?
Well, that's exactly it. Well, that's exactly right. I
Like
mean,
Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite.
that's it.
At least
Really.
those are the big three I can
They're
think
the
of.
big three. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Really. Once you get beyond those, then I mean, you probably still got the Dotas and League of Legends. Not that they're in the same.
Yeah, that's
Not
yeah.
not that in the same sort of type of
It's
game.
weird how quiet things are on the Dota and League front, but they're probably just still just
They're
quietly
just
racking
rolling
their
along, I
money.
suspect. I mean, if we were to go
Yeah.
and spend a few seconds quickly
I
looking
did. I did see something where apparently there was some talk where Activision wanted Call of Duty Black Ops 7 to just sort of drop, like quote unquote, like a Beyonce album.
at. Okay.
I'm like, oh no, don't! What are you doing? No. So now Beyonce is going to be in Call of Duty Black Ops 7.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're looking at the current played games on Steam. Counter Strike 2 is way up there. Counter Strike is way out.
Yeah.
Then you got PUBG,
Which is hilarious for how much people shit on Counter Strike 2
Yeah.
and how it replaced Global Offensive and blah, 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 blah. Overwatch 2 is probably up there, I'd wager.
Not nowhere near the top 20.
Oh.
But PUBG still there. Dota 2 still there. Apex Legends still in the top 5. So so you've got a lot of games like that.
Mm.
Is where the vast majority of the play numbers are. But yeah, like yeah, it's just odd.
And then you got in this same window as well. Like there was the technical alpha or something for Marathon about 4 weeks ago.
Well, they're now delayed that indefinitely, so that's gone.
And that's what I was just
Yeah,
about to say. That people were like, oh, and like I was listening. I can't remember which podcast it was. I think it was the Next Lander one, driving to work, and they mentioned that. And the very first thing I thought of after they mentioned that, is it even going to come out?
Yeah, yeah.
Because
yeah,
with what happened with Conquered,
yeah, exactly.
All bets are off.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of the problem with it. I mean, yeah, what is a successful game these days? What counts as one? Is it just the fact that it's got to make its money back? Is that enough? Probably for a lot of small developers, that's exactly what they wanted to do.
For some small developers, absolutely. But then for your EAs and shit, just making the money back's not enough.
It's not enough because they've got shareholders want to see price increase, all that kind of stuff. So,
like, not that it's the same medium, but Kevin Smith used to always talk about, like, I would continually get work because I never lost studios money. I never made a lot of money, but I never cost them, whatever the budget was, I'd make that back plus some on the top. I would always have a job. That he's not making movies of the same scope and scale we're talking about, like from a games perspective, but that's that sort of indie style mindset to an extent.
Yeah, and
that ain't gonna cop it for fucking quote unquote blockbuster, $350 million open world action adventure games.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I sort of sitting back and looking at the stuff we saw in those 4 or 5 videos that we collectively, well, 4 we talked over, and the other couple we didn't talk over that I watched. I just think that the gaming space now is not in AAA. I think that's the upshot of it. I mean, if you took out, like this year we've got we'll have a Call of Duty. We always have a Call of Duty. That's fine. We've got a Borderlands 4. Is that soonish or is that next year? When's that?
I think September.
Is it September? Is that when it comes out?
Last I heard it was September. 12th of September. I was right.
Okay.
Go me.
So you've got some, like, not that there's one of those every year, but you know what I mean. Like that's a big release this year.
But like, how much is it going to have to sell for it to not be a catastrophe?
Yeah, what does it have to make for Borderlands 4 to be considered quote unquote a success?
And how much of the budget did Randy Pitchford spend in musical adult shops or magical adult shops? Seeing as he likes magic and apparently strippers.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at, like, what have we got? We've got, looking through the list for games for this year, and there's not a lot of big ones.
Nah, the big shit's all been the year's been really front loaded with big stuff.
Yeah, like we've got Mafia: The Old Country is probably the next big one to come out. That's in August.
Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong's July.
Thing is,
July 17th.
This is going to be an odd thing to say. I don't think that's a big game because it's such a single platform. I'm talking about the big multi-platform games.
And it is it's not, Donkey Kong games are not Mario, are not Zelda.
No, they're not Mario, not as Mario.
So they're not that same tier. So I get what you mean.
But if I'm looking at multi-platform, because I think that's when you look at a game that game will make its money back because it's on the only platform that can play it.
And there's fuck all else on it to play right now.
So, it's got a bit of a captured audience there. But if you look at the things that are multi-platform, I'm not really looking forward to Gears of War Reloaded. I really would like to play that again. But that's not a new game. So
no. And you've got there's Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, I think, which is end of July. There it is, 24th of July. But again, Souls-like, quite specific, to an extent specific, and also it's 505 games. That is not what I would call a big publisher, a quote unquote big game.
Yeah.
It's big when you compare it to some other games. But even Bandai Namco, their next thing is Shadow Labyrinth, which is that search action game with Pac-Man or Puck. as they call it. But again, that's not a big game. That's sort of an experiment almost.
I mean, the
So
really
like,
big, like as I was saying, Call of Duty we've still got. The Outer Worlds 2 is probably the big other one that will be coming out this year.
Yeah.
Which is on all platforms. But yeah, I mean, it's just like in terms of big AAA stuff.
There's not a lot.
There's not a lot this year.
Like Silent Hill F is end of October, but that.
But even the fact that there's not a lot of big AAA stuff doesn't matter. That's the thing.
No.
It doesn't actually matter because there's enough other really good, smaller to independent games coming out
to leave next to no time to play anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. To some level, yeah. But also, I just think some of those games are generally better to play. Like they're from someone like me, who doesn't spend a lot of time playing games, to have a smaller scope game to spend 10 hours on is way more better for me. Like Satisfactory is a massive anomaly for me. The fact to spend that much time playing on a game is something I've never done before. But to have a game I can dip in, play for an hour, and move on is bloody great for me.
October is weirdly kind of stacked now, though, because there's like Directive 8020, which is that supermassive game. Ghost of Yotei. Ninja Gaiden 4 has a size and a scope to it. Jurassic World Evolution 3, again, size and scope. Not massive, but there is Keeper, but I wouldn't put that on the same level. Outer Worlds 2, Arc Raiders. There's some pretty big things in October, but like you're going from Ghost of Yotei, which is your massive AAA, and I'm very curious to see what that costs, because if it's not bigger in scope than Ghost of Tsushima, like Sony will be shat on from great heights, going, "Why the fuck did you bother?" And that'll be fucking expensive if they have to make it that size, that scope, with that fidelity. But Ninja Gaiden 4, okay, that is a Xbox Game Studios game, but I would not put that at a AAA level from a budget, because you and I both know that AAA is budgetary only. Single A, maybe double. Because those games are fucked hard. Those are not mass market fucking games.
No.
But November looks fucking empty. Jesus Christ.
I mean, October doesn't look, as you said, October doesn't look too bad. But again, it's some of the smaller part of the games that I'm remembering. Like that Keeper thing looks really intriguing.
Keeper look like if we sit here and point out all of the games just on this Wikipedia list that I'm interested in, we'll be here for at least another half an hour. Because there's so much like mid-tier, quote unquote mid-tier indie. Because you don't get mid-tier like big publisher anymore.
Yeah, no.
Like EA's talking about they're only going to fucking focus on like 4 or 5 properties now, even though they've got Skate, which isn't one of those. No, that was one of the properties they said they were going to focus on. But like, the middle is missing. I
don't know. I don't know if the middle is necessarily missing. The middle is.
I was saying that as I'm looking at Sonic Racing Crossworlds worlds.
The middle is just different now. That's the difference. Middle is not necessarily you can put a clear boundary around what the middle is. The middle is now so much different. So you've got your low end, for want of a term, low end games that are really, really small, made by actual one person, not one person pretending to be
one person with 9 friends.
With 9 friends, which makes it fucking 10. You fucking Jesus Christ.
But there's also that. The discourse around Claire Obscure, and it's a 30 person studio, so everyone's focusing on the size of the team. That does a real disservice to all of those fucking games.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, because Kojima came out and was like, "Oh, I'd love to, like the Claire Obscura team. That sounds like the perfect fucking size team." Motherfucker, you're putting out Death Stranding 2, and you have what? How many fucking people working on that motherfucker?
Yeah.
You can't say that's the perfect size team, then have the size team you have with the game you have.
Yeah.
God damn it. Fucking Kojima.
But no,
there are games coming. There are great games. Well, all right, I don't want to say great games because we don't know if they're great yet. But there are games with a lot of games with great potential.
Great potential in the various lists that we've talked about over the last little while. What we saw in the various streams that we saw that are coming out this year. Hopefully they do come out this year. And here's the other funny thing too: if 10% of them don't stick the landing, doesn't matter.
There's still the other 90%, which is like fucking 400 games.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and that is probably the thing that must make for someone actually makes games must be incredibly anxious.
Oh yeah.
I've got to put out this game, and if it doesn't work, I've wasted 3 years of my life, all this money, and I'm not going to get it back again. So yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in that industry at the moment, regardless of how big you are.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how big you are. If your game doesn't sell enough to make its money back, or enough for you to live on for a bit, then yeah, Jesus.
I wonder how many people are just fucking stoked that GTA 6 is now fucking like May next year.
Well, there probably were a lot of people, but if people then retooled and rescoped their games because they had extra time. Shit, now what do? We don't have extra time.
May is going to be fucking... May 2026 is fucking empty outside of GTA 6.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is if they moved it to May 20... If they were coming out this year, even reschooled and retooled to go, oh, we'll go next year, therefore we can add these extra functions. Oh, fuck. They've moved to next year. Now what do? Do we move again? Do we come back? Do we pull the scale back? What do we do now? So them constantly moving, which is kind of why I think... I understand why people say we won't come out around GTA, but there are games...
There's sort of games...
Yes, there's a lot of people who play that game. You and I will probably play that game.
Yeah.
But that won't stop me from playing Satisfactory or anything. So that's the thing. I don't really get that idea of we've got to completely avoid it. Yeah, if you've got to completely avoid it, if you're making the game of the exact same fucking genre,
and
yes.
that game, like GTA 6 is such a fucking anomaly in and of itself. That game could cost $600 million and still make double its budget back.
Yeah,
because it is that sort of... It's the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
the Avengers Endgame, not necessarily the Avengers now.
Yeah.
But
it'll make its money back on every single platform it comes out on. It's not out on. It won't be out on Steam or PC for 2 years after.
No.
It'll come out on Steam and PC and they make all its money back again. So that game is such a, as you said,
there's a hearts and minds argument.
Such a massively outlier gaming.
It's kind of what Madden used to be.
Not Madden was nowhere near that.
Oh, not exactly the same thing, but about a decade or so.
No one removed the game from about a Madden. No, so it's not on anywhere near the same. There's been no game like that. At all. Yeah, and
that's what I mean by it's an anomaly.
Yeah,
okay.
It is. What's an outlier? It's an outlier.
People are going to fucking go nuts and buy it and play it. Fantastic. Yep, sure. But the people who are going to play, the millions and millions of people who would buy and play Grand Theft Auto 6, at least 80% of those are not the same fucking potential customers for basically anything else.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
They are the motherfuckers who buy 3 games a year.
Yeah, exactly. And
one of those other 3 is either Madden or EAFC
or Call of Duty.
Call of Duty was the third game I was going to throw in there.
Yeah.
Or they just spend $500 a year on Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
But
lots
of games coming. They all look very good. There's lots of games out too that look very, very good.
Yep, exactly.
I'm going to keep playing those.
Yep. All right.
For now,
let's move into
the beginning of the end. Alrighty, beginning at the end. Now, twitch.tv/enemy starship is where I do the streaming type stuff. I have 2 weeks left of work for the term, and then I'm on holidays again, so I might probably do some holiday hanging out and some Friday night fun and some Saturday stuff as well. Solo Factory.
Yeah, maybe it'll come back at some
couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, the 1.1 has been out for about a week and a bit now, officially. I've not really kept on all of the current status of the various mods, but yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on that. It'll come back. I just don't know when at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is to come back and play that from the beginning using a controller. That's the next.
There you go.
I want to see what that'll be the sort of thing I want to do. So we shall see. But,
so if you're interested in that, and the numbers say they do, because there seems to be the interest. Yeah, give us a subscribe over on YouTube, youtube.com/should I play this game 64. So yeah, give us a subscribe over there. Give us a follow over on Twitch. If you follow over on Twitch, you'll get an email when I go live. At least Friday and Saturdays. They're basically fairly set in schedule. The holiday hangouts will be whenever. Take you by surprise. So next week, some kind of video content.
Yeah, no idea what that'll be just yet. We'll figure something out. But yeah,
Word.
We've always got options. That's the good. As we talk about, we've got options. We just talked about a bunch of games.
Fucking Lord Jesus Christ!
So we've got options. We'll do something.
Word. So how about we call it? Because
yep.
You probably want to start fucking dinnering soon.
I do.
This is episode 3, 2, 1. Of the Should I Play This Game podcast. I'm a horrible person. It's the 23rd of June. Thank you very much, Graham Banks.
No worries, Steve.
And we'll see you with some video stuff next week and back for another podcast in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.